guys, and welcome back to another episode of EKU Hoops Hub. Today, we're going to go over the shooting guard position for EKU. Obviously, yesterday I did point guards. So today, as follows, we're going to do some shooting guards. So, we have a couple leaving and a couple returners. We have some guys that left for other reasons, some guys that have joined that will really help us. So some negatives, some positives, but I think mostly positives that are really going to help us in the long stretch. Now, obviously, these highlights that you're seeing on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, are on the West Virginia game. But here's the breakdown of the shooting guards. So, leaving, we have Jamar Brown, obviously Coastal Carolina graduate transfer. I kind of saw that coming. Deshaun Jackson, a freshman that is really good, and I think should have got a little bit more playing time, but there's a lot of more guys that got also a lot of playing time, and he was kind of the youngest guy. So usually, if you have a lot of older guys on your team, and you're the last guy, but you're also a lot younger, you usually don't get as much playing time. So we got him that I think will obviously produce. He was the main guy for Frederick Douglass at Frederick Douglass High School where he played. We have Cooper Rupp coming back. I want to talk about Cooper real quick because here's the thing about Cooper, and I'll probably have a more in depth Cooper video because there's a lot of things that can go in on this season. Like there's a lot of outcomes. Obviously, he's coming off a labrum injury. Let's just start with that. He's coming off a labrum injury. Outside of him, we have some backups, but he's gonna have to do a lot of the dirty work. And plus, he's one of our oldest guys. He's the oldest guy on the roster, so he's gonna have to bring a lot of veteran leadership to the team. And obviously, coming off an injury like Michael had, and Jansen had some this season, like you don't play as good. So I don't think he's gonna be as rushed because it's not an in-season injury. But just getting those first couple games, when the first couple games come around, don't be surprised if he doesn't play as well. I think he's going to start the season off not as good as he usually does, but I think he'll pick it up. I think in general in sports, if you start the season coming off an injury, you have to get adjusted back to the game. But I think he's going to be a great help to us. But the main thing is how he can, what I've seen a lot is, I don't know if this is natural, and the next time I have someone on for interview, I was going to ask about this, but every time he shoots a three, he sidesteps. Now that might be to create space, that might be for a different reason, but usually you front step into a three, but he sidesteps. Now that might be a personal preference. I don't know if that's something different. It's just not that. It's not what most players do. But I think Cooper's going to, as I said earlier, will have to be one of our veteran guys because our team is going to be really young this year compared to last year. We had a lot of older players. Obviously Jansen, Braxton, Iron, we had all those guys. All three of those guys are gone. So you need someone to step in to be a veteran guy to lead. And I think Cooper is going to try to fill that role. Talking more about veteran leadership things, I'm going to put that into an episode. But, so, our shooting guards, we have a lot of them that are Some of them are crafty to go to the rim. Some of them are going to go shoot the three only. But so most of them don't do two things. But Cooper can go do two things. If he needs to go to the rim, he can go to the rim. If he needs to spot up and shoot the three, he can do that. If you need him to come off a screen, shoot a three. If you need him to pull up, shoot a three, whatever, he can kind of fill that void for you. So I think at the shooting guard position, we're kind of filled. We don't have as many of them as we had point guards. So that's why I kind of have less to talk about. But I think that Deshaun Jackson, in my opinion, hopefully will get a lot more playing time this year because we have obviously less of them. And without Jamaro now going to Coastal Carolina, you need him not just fully step into the role because no one can do what he did. I mean, he was top 10, I think, in EKU scoring for a guard, second in steals for EKU, and a player at EKU at Eastern. So they just need someone to fill that void and patch that up because you need all the help you can get coming off all that talent you're losing. I mean, not just graduate, but transfer. Like, you have to, and I think AW did a good job of not rebuilding. And I talked about this when I interviewed Michael 2 episodes ago about how we're not rebuilding, we're retooling because we already have the talent we need. We just kind of have to fill that void and get those guys back. Get some guys back that can fill that void. Obviously, we lost Jansen, Braxton, all those guys for graduating shot, all those. And then we had transfers, Tyreek, Kurt, Rue, all those. So just filling those voids is really important. I think in general, our shooting guard position is, I think, in my opinion, is a sneaky spot to really help us in games. Mainly, Cooper is a really good defensive guard that can really surprise you if you've never seen him play before. He's not like a guard that is usual. Usually guards just post up or shoot the three. Like he'll get under your skin. Like he'll fight for loose balls all at will. Like he can do basically whatever you need him to. So he's a really scrappy guard that a lot of teams can honestly use. Even if you look back at his UNC Charlotte days, like he started all his games. He was super scrappy. He used a lot of things to his advantage really well. So I think he's gonna have to fill a big void, as I said. But for our shooting guard position, I think that we can obviously. We obviously have one more roster spot left, and if I was A-Dub, that's where I would go. I would go for a shooting guard. I would go for a shooting guard, or I would go for a center. For me, we have a DK, 16 guy out of England, but I think we need more depth there. Losing Tyreek, I think this is just a little dip into the center episode, but we just need more depth there. So I think that's where I put that last roster spot. So that's what I got to go over for the shooting guard position. Not as much as I had for point guard, but there's not as much as we had. We do have one last guy to go over. Now, Tayshawn Comer. Tayshawn Comer is Indiana Mr. Basketball runner-up. And he is amazing. He can obviously shoot it like Turner could. He can drive, he can kick, he can even set picks if you need him to. So he's going to be a great addition. So I think he's obviously going to help. He's going to play a lot of minutes, log a lot of points. In his high school career, he obviously was one of their, he was their best player, and that's, as you can see, that's why he was runner up for Mr. Basketball, because he has all these points and all these things under his belt that most players don't have at that time of their career. Like, they're just starting out. But he came fresh out of the gate playing good. Even his freshman year, he was playing a lot of games. So he's going to be a great add for us. So this is EKU Hoops Hub. For EKU Hoops Hub, I'm Cass Clay, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace. Go Colonels.